Have you ever looked at a map and thought, wait, why does that country have two names? Or, how can one country have three capitals? And the weirdest, why do some countries stretch across 4 time zones without even being that big? Well, today, we're going to explore 10 mind-bending countries that defy the rules of geography and common sense. From hidden capitals to double identities and sprawling time zones, these countries will make you question what you thought you knew about the world. Let's dive in. Number 1. South Africa, the country with 3 capitals. Did you know South Africa doesn't have 1 capital? Not 2, but 3. That's right. Pretoria is the administrative capital, home to the president. Cape Town is where the parliament meets, making it the legislative capital. And Bloemfontein, that's where the judiciary sits. Why 3? After the Boer War, South Africa wanted to keep things balanced between the major colonial powers. So they divided the power across cities instead of choosing just one. It's like choosing 3 favorite children to keep the peace. Geographically, South Africa is already unique. It touches both the Atlantic and Indian Oceans. It's also home to the Drakensberg Mountains, semi-deserts, and lush wine valleys, all in one country. But the real twist, despite having 3 capitals, none of them is the biggest city. That's Johannesburg. Imagine if Washington, D.C. wasn't even in the top 3 U.S. cities. Strange, right? Oh, and one more thing. Some maps even label Pretoria as the capital, but technically, it shares that crown. So next time someone asks you, what's the capital of South Africa? Just say, which one? Number 2. Russia. 1 country, 11 time zones. Okay, get this. Russia is so massive, it spans across 11 time zones. From Kaliningrad near Europe, all the way to Kamchatka near Alaska, it literally stretches across half the planet. But here's the kicker. Even though it has 11, it only uses 9 time zones today due to simplification. Still impressive, right? It's like waking up in Moscow, flying for 9 hours, and still being in the same country, but in a completely different day. Geologically, Russia is a beast. It sits on both the Eurasian and North American tectonic plates, creating everything from volcanoes in Kamchatka to earthquakes in Siberia. It also contains Lake Baikal, the deepest and oldest freshwater lake in the world, over a mile deep. And with all that space, it's still weird to think Russia has cities that are closer to Tokyo than to Moscow. In winter, some parts of Russia can hit minus 60 degrees Celsius, minus 76 degrees Fahrenheit, colder than Mars. So when people say Russia is cold, they're not kidding. But in Sochi, you'll find palm trees and warm beaches. Yes, in Russia, it's a country of contradictions and time travel. If you go east fast enough, you can literally celebrate New Year's 11 times in one night, if you have a really fast plane. Number 3. Canada, the country of 2 official names and 6 time zones. Canada is officially bilingual, with 2 official languages, English and French, which is why you'll often see place names and government signs in both languages. For example, Canada and Canada, pronounced differently depending on the language, but sometimes the names vary for regions and cities, creating a sense of dual identity. Beyond its linguistic duality, Canada is also famous for having 6 primary time zones, stretching from Pacific Time, UTC-8, on the west coast all the way to Newfoundland Time, UTC-330, in the east. This massive spread is due to Canada's vast size. It's the 2nd largest country in the world by land area, stretching over 9.9 million square kilometers. Geologically, Canada sits on the ancient Canadian Shield, one of the world's largest and oldest exposed rock formations, some dating back over 4 billion years. This shield covers much of central and eastern Canada and is rich in minerals and fossils. Canada also has incredible geographical variety, from the rugged Rocky Mountains and the vast Arctic tundra to lush forests and thousands of freshwater lakes, including the Great Lakes, the largest group of freshwater lakes on Earth. The wide time zones and geological diversity influence everything from wildlife migration patterns to how communities adapt to the extreme seasonal daylight changes, especially in northern parts, where the sun barely rises in winter. Number 4. Bolivia, the country with 2 capitals and no coastline. Now here's a twist. Bolivia has 2 official capitals. La Paz is where the government sits, perched high in the Andes at 3,650 meters, the highest capital city in the world. But constitutionally, the capital is Sucre. a quieter city known for colonial charm and historical importance. So, who's the real capital? It depends who you ask. This two-capital system has led to fierce political debates and even protests. Add to that Bolivia's extreme geography. It stretches from Amazon jungles to salt flats. Speaking of salt, Bolivia is home to Salar de Uyuni, the world's largest salt flat, visible from space. And even though it's landlocked now, Bolivia once had a coastline. After the War of the Pacific, it lost access to the sea, and many Bolivians still want it back. They even celebrate Dia del Mar, Day of the Sea, every year, mourning their lost Pacific access. It's the only country with two flags, the national flag and the huipala, symbolizing indigenous identity. And the country's name? It comes from Simón Bolívar, the liberator of South America. But some locales prefer its full title, Plurinational State of Bolivia. Bolivia's time zone is simple, but culturally, it's a mosaic of 36 recognized indigenous groups. Some regions speak Spanish, others Quechua, Aymara, or Guarani. Its elevation can cause tourists to suffer altitude sickness. Even just walking feels like a workout. Lake Titicaca, the world's highest navigable lake, sits partly in Bolivia. In short, Bolivia isn't just two capitals. It's two worlds, two timelines, and many nations in one. Confused yet? Bolivia likes it that way. Number 5. Nigeria, a country with a name chosen by a British journalist. Let's head to Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, with over 220 million people and hundreds of cultures. But did you know the name Nigeria was invented by a British journalist? In the late 1800s, Flora Shaw, who later married Lord Lugard, coined the name from the Niger River. Before colonization, the area had powerful kingdoms, like the Benin Empire and the Sokoto Caliphate. So, Nigeria isn't even an indigenous name. It was a label stitched onto a patchwork of tribes. It has 3 major ethnic groups, Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa, and over 500 languages spoken. Its capital was Lagos, a buzzing coastal city, until it moved inland to Abuja in 1991. Why the change? To escape congestion and ethnic tension in Lagos, Abuja was designed to be neutral, more centrally located and symbolically fresh. But Lagos remains the economic and cultural capital, leading many to say Nigeria has 2 capitals. The country has 1 time zone, but in practice, things run on what locals call Nigerian time, a polite way of saying, don't expect punctuality. Its geography spans deserts in the north, rainforests in the south, and the Niger Delta, rich in oil. This oil wealth powers Africa's largest economy, yet many regions still face power outages and poverty. And while the country is named after a river, it's the land around the river that shapes its soul. Nigeria is also called Niger by locals, a name that reflects modern pride and identity. So yes, it has one name officially, but another in the hearts of its people. From ancient empires to oil pipelines, from megacities to tribal villages, Nigeria contains multitudes. It's not just a country, it's a continent in miniature. Number 6. Kazakhstan, the country that's both ancient and futurist. Now here's a land of paradoxes. Kazakhstan, the world's largest landlocked country, is so massive that it spans 2 time zones, UTC +5 and UTC +6, and borders both Russia and China. But did you know Kazakhstan moved its capital not too long ago? The capital used to be Almaty, a city nestled near the Tian Shan Mountains, rich in Soviet-era architecture and historic bazaars. But in 1997, they shifted the capital to Astana, now known as Nur Sultan. Or, wait, it's Astana again. Yes, Kazakhstan renamed its capital to Nur Sultan in honor of its first president, only to change it back to Astana in 2022. Confused yet? This city is one of the most futuristic capitals in the world, with buildings designed by global architects like Norman Foster. Think pyramid-shaped palaces and flying saucer-like towers, right in the middle of the steppes. Geologically, Kazakhstan is part of the vast Eurasian tectonic plate, but it also features ancient mountain ranges like the Altai that have existed since prehistoric times, dating back hundreds of millions of years. Oh, and get this, Baikonur Cosmodrome, the world's first and largest space launch facility, is located here, leased to Russia. So technically, Russian rockets launch from Kazakhstan soil. Number 7. Sri Lanka. 2 names, 2 capitals, and 1 very ancient island. Welcome to Sri Lanka, the tear-shaped island off the southern coast of India, which many still call Ceylon. Its name from colonial times until 1972. Now, Let's talk capitals. The administrative capital is Sri Jayawardenepura Kotte, a name that's longer than most sentences. But the commercial capital is Colombo, where the real action happens. Trade, tourism, and traffic. Many maps and travelers still consider Colombo the capital, but technically, it's not. Confused? Most locals are too. Geologically, Sri Lanka broke off from the Indian subcontinent millions of years ago, and its central highlands are older than the Himalayas, made up of Precambrian rock that's over 2 billion years old. Even its time zone is unusual. It's at UTC plus 530, like India, but with occasional debates about aligning with neighboring Maldives, which is UTC plus 5. And guess what? Sri Lanka even tried changing time zones back and forth in the 1990s to save electricity. Talk about a national identity crisis. Number 8. Mexico. United Mexican States and a capital with its own state. Wait, it's not just Mexico. Its official name is Estados Unidos Mexicanos, or United Mexican States. Sounds familiar? Yes, just like the USA, Mexico is a federation of states, 32 in total, including one for its capital, Mexico City, which wasn't even considered a proper state until 2016. And get this, Mexico City used to be called Distrito Federal, the federal district, similar to Washington, D.C., but they renamed it and gave it full statehood, making it a unique city-state hybrid with its own governor and laws. So technically, the capital of Mexico is Mexico City, Mexico, in the state of Mexico City. Time zones? Mexico has 4: Pacific, Mountain, Central, and Eastern, used in small parts like Quintana Roo. That means the sun rises in Tijuana long after it does in Cancun. Geologically, Mexico City sits on a dry lakebed and is sinking up to 20 inches per year. It's also surrounded by volcanoes like Popocatépetl, one of the most active in North America. The city itself lies on a seismic hotbed. Oh, and don't even ask locals to explain the difference between Mexico City and Estado de Mexico, State of Mexico. Even they get it wrong. Number 9. Australia. A country, a continent, and a time zone headache. And finally, Australia. A name so iconic we forget how confusing it actually is. First, is it a country, a continent, or both? Technically, both. Geographers debate whether Oceania is the true continent, but Australia is considered the smallest continent and the 6th largest country. It's also home to 3 official time zones: Western, UTC plus 8, Central, UTC plus 930, and Eastern, UTC plus 10. But wait, some states don't follow daylight savings, while others do. So depending on the time of year, Sydney and Brisbane could be in the same time zone or different ones. Confused yet? There's more. The country's capital is Canberra, not Sydney or Melbourne, and it was chosen as a compromise because the 2 biggest cities couldn't stop arguing over which should be the capital. Geologically, Australia is one of the oldest and flattest land masses on Earth, with rock formations in the Pilbara Craton that date back over 3.6 billion years. And for the cherry on top, there's Norfolk Island, an Australian external territory that has its own time zone, UTC plus 11, with a 30-minute difference from mainland Eastern Time. Yes, a 30-minute offset, just because. Number 10. Indonesia, the archipelago with 4 time zones and thousands of islands. Indonesia is a fascinating country consisting of over 17,000 islands, which naturally makes it one of the most geographically complex nations in the world. With this island diversity comes multiple time zones. Indonesia spans 3 official time zones: Western, UTC plus 7, Central, UTC plus 8, and Eastern, UTC plus 9. But due to scattered islands, some regions unofficially observe different local times. It's also a land of geological wonders. Indonesia lies on the Pacific Ring of Fire, a hotspot for volcanic and seismic activity. The country has around 130 active volcanoes, more than any other country, including the infamous Krakatoa and Mount Merapi. The archipelago was formed by the collision of several tectonic plates, the Australian, Eurasian, Pacific, and Philippine plates, which constantly shape the landscape with earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Indonesia's geology is as diverse as its culture, with vast rainforests, mangroves, coral reefs, and some of the richest biodiversity on Earth. The massive spread of islands and time zones has led to many local cultures developing independently, each with its own language and traditions, sometimes feeling like tiny countries in their own right. So, the next time someone says, "That country's simple," tell them, "Think again." Because in the world of geography, What looks obvious is usually anything but. Some countries have multiple names, dueling capitals, and time zones that defy logic. And when you throw in a few geological oddities, you get a world that's far more complex and far more fascinating than any map can show. Which country surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more mind-blowing geography facts, like subscribe and ring that bell, we've got a whole world to explore.